Hi, and welcome to Skill of the Week. This week's skill is Wise Mind. Wise Mind is part of practicing mindfulness. It is a way of being aware of your state of mind and the extent to which you are being governed more by your factual, reasonable, logical side or your passionate, impulsive, emotional side. Wise Mind is finding a balance between those two things. So why talk about wise mind when we talk about eating disorder recovery? Well, eating disorders in and of themselves are things that are born purely from emotion. And there are a lot of really important facts that we also have to acknowledge along the way. Facts about the long-term outcomes of the illness and the most effective way to treat it. Being in wise mind is a state of mind that will allow you to find the best balance between those two things in order to successfully navigate any moment throughout your recovery. So I'm here with JD today, and I'm hoping, JD, you can talk about how wise mind was so important to your own family's recovery journey.
One of the biggest places I'll say is with parental alignment. So very often in relationships, one of us tends to be more logical, one of us tends to be more emotional. So we found that by understanding this concept, we could begin to balance each other out, and then we could begin to balance ourselves. So we had that logic and emotion, wise mind balance. And then modeling that for our daughter was absolutely key as she moved through the journey. And what I love about parents learning these skills alongside their kids is that ability to model it and then also help them understand when it would be effective for them to deploy it as well.
That's really wonderful. I like that idea of the whole family kind of practicing and using it together, and kind of like the parents being able to move into that position of like coach almost with the skills.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how it is that you know you're in wise mind, because I think that's one of the concepts people can struggle with is like, what does wise mind feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I think you made that really great point about before you react, check yourself, right? And a lot of times when you're in strong emotion mind, you also have a lot of body sensations and things like that. And when you're too much in logic mind, you can be sort of detached or cold about things. And so one of the things I'm going to say is that very often people who have logic mind most of the time, and I'm going to put myself in that group, sort of think we're better than everyone else, right? And as it turns out, logic mind is not your best mind. Your best mind is a balanced mind with logic and emotion both.
Right. It's like when you try to like logic somebody or reason somebody through an eating disorder, it usually doesn't land well, right? Because like logic and emotions kind of don't mix very well. So you kind of have to be in both spaces at once.
Yeah, and a common example I'll use for people is sort of never in the history of being told to calm down, a very logical thing to say to someone, hasn't done anything but escalate someone's emotions. So you take a step back, you think what's going to be effective, and what's going to be effective is understanding the role that emotion is playing for them, that logic is playing for you, and then figuring out a way to bring those two things together and think and operate in wise mind.
That's so well said. Great point. So this week we encourage you and your family to practice noticing what state of mind you're in. Because even in that moment where you're like, is this wise mind? You are in wise mind. So practice pausing, stepping back, noticing where you're at, and finding your wise mind.